Now, a spectacular falling out between the Philippines President, Ferdinand Marcos Jr., and his deputy, Sara Duterte, has unleashed a war between two of the country's most powerful political dynasties. The arrest of Sara's father, former leader Rodrigo Duterte, for crimes against humanity, is also linked to the fallout with the president. On tonight's foreign correspondent, Natasha Gutierrez reports on how the feud has escalated so dramatically.
I've come to the ancestral home of the Duterte family, where the former president was raised. His older sister Eleanor still lives here. It's become a shrine to the Duterte dynasty.
Thank you for having me.
Next to me is my brother, who is the former President Rodrigo Duterte.
The 83-year-old is proud of her family's political achievements and doesn't mince words when it comes to the Marcos clan.
Do you think President Marcos was behind the impeachment of your niece?
Of course, of course. The Republic of the Philippines is in political turmoil.
She's accused of corruption and misusing millions of pesos of public funds.
What they're using is a technicality in the office of the Vice President. That's what they're trying to impeach her for.
Like many in Davao, she's convinced the allegations against her family are all political attacks. She believes the charges against Sara are baseless and that the extrajudicial killings under Rodrigo's presidency are made up.
During your brother's war on drugs, thousands of Filipinos died.
It was all black propaganda. There is no such thing. That never happened.
Natasha Gutierrez joins me now in the studio. Natasha, can we start with this feud between the Marcoses and the Dutertes? The president and his deputy, they were once seen as the dream team, a landslide victory in 2022. And now we have this situation where the vice president said publicly that she has contracted a hitman to kill the president if anything were to happen to her. How did it get this bad?
I think it's important to start with Alliance and how it was even formed. So, when they partnered, they represented the coming together of two of the most powerful political dynasties in the Philippines. Sara is the daughter of Rodrigo Duterte. She is extremely popular. Marcos Jr. needed to partner with her in order to win the presidency. As for the Dutertes, they needed to partner with the next president precisely to protect Rodrigo from persecution for his war on drugs. So from the very beginning, it was an alliance of convenience. So when the cracks started to show, analysts weren't surprised. They knew this was going to happen. But I think what was so shocking was the speed and intensity of the implosion. You had accusations of the president being a drug addict and the first lady saying she didn't like the vice president. And ultimately, this Facebook Live wherein Sara then said that she was going to hire a hitman to kill the president. So it's absolutely spectacular, but at the core of it is a fight for power. Both political dynasties are eyeing the 2028 presidency. So while they partnered for convenience initially, now each one wants to field their own candidate in 2028, and that's the core of this feud.
Now, the Dutertes have an entrenched political dynasty. The feud with the Marcoses is causing them problems, though. Sara Duterte has been impeached by the Congress, and now her father is in jail. Would these events have happened if the president wasn't at war with his deputy, as we see them?
Most likely not. So let's start with the impeachment. There were calls for impeachment against the vice president because of misuse of public funds in her office. But in the beginning, when those calls were happening, Marcos Jr., the president himself, said that would be a waste of time. There was many other issues that the House should be dealing with. So he was against that impeachment. But as the feud escalated, our sources told us that he gave the go signal and Congress moved and impeached the vice president. And so now she will stand trial at the Senate. And if she's convicted, she could be ousted from ever holding public office. With the arrest of Rodrigo, when they were allies, Marcos himself said he would block the ICC from investigating the drug war in the Philippines, obviously to protect Rodrigo. Again, as the feud intensified, his government shifted their stance. He said he would oblige Interpol if they were to issue an arrest warrant, which they did. Now, note that the ICC does not have any power to arrest anyone. They need the participation of countries in order to arrest suspects. So, for example, Netanyahu has an arrest warrant against him, Putin has an arrest warrant against him. Their countries are not giving them up. So if it weren't for Marcos Jr., Duterte would still be a free man.
What has been the reaction in the Philippines to Duterte's arrest, and what is likely to happen to that case from here?
The Philippines is very divided. What you need to understand is Duterte is extremely popular, and over the weekend we saw protests and rallies calling for his return to the Philippines. But of course, for the families of those killed in the drug war, this is a day they never thought they would see. There is deep impunity in the Philippines precisely because of these political dynasties who protect each other. That's why they want to also stay in power, so they are not held accountable. So it's a very divided country right now, and we only can wait and see to see what will happen at The Hague, where Duterte currently is.
Natasha, the Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is the son of the former president, the same name, forced into exile after the people there revolted against him. What does this victory over the Duterte family mean for the Marcos political dynasty?
He was the son of a former dictator. So can you believe that 40 years after he was ousted, his son is now in power? What does that mean? Currently, it seems that the Marcoses have an upper hand, but the Dutertes will not take this sitting down. Sara Duterte has already hinted at running for president in 2028. If she survives the impeachment, she could very well win. Rodrigo Duterte, we just learned from the Commission of Elections in the Philippines that he is still eligible to run for mayor, even as he is at The Hague. That's the midterm elections in May. If he wins, that will show you that the Dutertes are not going away anytime soon. So for now, the Marcoses do have the upper hand, but the midterm elections in May, I think, will be a great test to the power of both dynasties.
Natasha Gutierrez, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Drama.